Here are the stories we're covering this week in the Category 5.tv newsroom. A company who sold fake followers to social media users is under investigation for the practice. The largest cryptocurrency theft in history happened Friday in Japan with a loss equivalent to $530 million US. Apple is making the slowdown of old devices optional, and net neutrality will be enforced in New York under orders from the governor. These stories are coming right up. Don't go anywhere.
Whether you shop on ThinkGeek, GearBest, B&H Photo Video, eBay, or Amazon, or even if you want a free trial of Audible, you'll find the best deals and support the shows we produce by simply visiting the shopping sites you already frequent by using the links on our website. Visit category5.tv/partners for the full and ever-growing list and help us create more free content like this show. Thank you for shopping with our partners, and thank you for watching.
This is the Category 5.tv newsroom, covering the week's top tech stories with a slight Linux bias.
I'm Sasha Rickman, and here are the top stories we're following this week. New York's chief prosecutor says the state is opening an investigation into a firm that allegedly sold millions of fake followers to social media users. Impersonation and deception are illegal under New York law, said Eric Schneiderman. According to the New York Times, the company, Devumi, stands accused of stealing real people's identities, which it denies. The paper linked the follower factory to a host of celebrity accounts. The Times published an in-depth report on Devumi on Saturday, including interviews with people who alleged that their account details and profile pictures had been copied to create realistic bots. It is alleged that others who wanted to increase their follower count, including actors, entrepreneurs, and political commentators, could pay to be followed by these bots. On social media, accounts with a high number of followers are able to boost influence, which can directly impact on public opinion. It can also bring other advantages to account holders, such as job offers or sponsorship deals. Mr. Schneiderman said he was concerned that such opaque operations were undermining democracy. On its website, Devumi offers customers the chance to order up to 250,000 Twitter followers with prices starting at $12 or £850. Celebrities also can buy likes and retweets. The company sells followers on a range of other platforms, including Pinterest, LinkedIn, SoundCloud, and YouTube. The company is registered at a New York City address, although the New York Times alleges it's only a front, with its actual offices being in Florida. It also employs workers in the Philippines. Twitter has responded to the investigation, saying it is working to stop Devumi and similar companies. Wow, so if companies like that are happening, like how prevalent do you think it is? How fake do you think the numbers are that we're seeing?
I do remember the news story where Lady Gaga had paid to have a huge boost on YouTube.
Yep.
And they caught her. And so YouTube, it was this whole kerfuffle in the news, and you know, who does
especially because
right?
with YouTube you can earn revenue from the ads based on plays, and so if everybody, you know, if they say, "Oh, she's super popular," everybody's going to watch the video. But I even remember,
trending.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I remember even going back in Canadian politics. I think to federal election 2 elections ago, there was a big kerfuffle about the federal Conservative Party purchasing fake social media profiles to bolster their efforts online, and there was extra likes and stuff. So it's been going on for a while.
Sure.
How would you know if you had been turned into a bot? Like, how would I know, like, my name isn't being used? Would I know that?
If you search for the bald nerd,
right?
Yeah, I mean, how would you know? And it's so unfair to those of us. Like, people say, why does Category 5 have so few views on YouTube?
We don't really. We have real views.
That's it.
The thing.
Yeah.
So and not to say that people who have high views are paying for views. That's not what I'm saying. But it's so unfair to know that there are services that are charging people to be able to increase their viewership or increase their Facebook likes and things like that. My wife is an author, and she has submitted so many books, and like she's written novels and she's written short stories and submitted them, and knows that she gets these rejection letters on account of the fact that she doesn't have enough Facebook followers. So somebody who is trying to establish themselves in this world as a author may say, okay, let's buy 10,000 Facebook followers. Now, we're not that type of family. We're not going to do that. And so my wife, who is a better author than most that I have ever read, is struggling to get noticed by the publishers or even the readers because of the fact that she doesn't have that platform. That's unfair.
It is unfair.
So go on to Facebook, Google Becca Ferguson on Facebook.
It's not a biased account.
Give her a thumbs
Actually,
up.
Becca's an amazing author.
Bekah.
And it's not fair that these sorts of practices skew the numbers. It makes me think about the times when those stock market it was like bots that were increasing and inflating the like the penny stocks. And it's exactly the same practice. It's just a fake amount of retweets that bring up the actual views of, you know, these
using social and social media in order to control the population's next move.
Right. So
whether they're going to invest or whether they're going to vote or whether they're going to buy a book.
Right. And if it does actually influence the scholarships that you might get or the job you might get, that's unfair because it's sort of pushing people into the corner where all of a sudden now they are forced to buy those. Because if that's the only way you're going to get that job, are you going to stand by your principles or are you going to pay and get in? Are you going to start going down that slippery? Japanese media say an exchange has lost 58 billion yen through hacking, the equivalent of about $530 million in cryptocurrency. The Coincheck exchange said on its website Friday that it has halted sales and withdrawals of the currency, which is called NEM. It later added that it had also restricted dealings in most other cryptocurrencies too. Keep in mind, as many as 10,000 businesses in Japan are said to accept cryptocurrencies. Kyodo News Services reported that Coincheck president Koichiro Wada apologized at a news conference and said the company may seek financial assistance. Kyodo says the Coincheck exchange detected the unauthorized access to its system early on Friday and promptly froze trading. The reported loss exceeds the 48 billion yen that the Japan-based Mt. Gox Bitcoin exchange lost back in 2014. Some 260,000 customers are said to be affected by the reported theft, but over the weekend, Coincheck promised to use its own funds to reimburse more than 46 billion yen, around $423 million, to customers who lost their NEM cryptocurrency coins on Friday. The company says that it has the digital address of where the assets were sent.
Interesting.
Yeah. To be honest with you, if they have the address to where the cryptocurrency is sent, does that not mean that they could recover that cryptocurrency?
Wouldn't it be nice if it was like the address, like, 50 Yonge Street?
I know that it's like probably a wallet.
It's
a
not
wallet
like that.
Number or something, right?
Yeah, well, it's not that identifying. The whole idea behind cryptocurrency is it's very anonymous.
Right.
Well, I mean, you covered the news story last week where there was there was a bot or something where the money was being filtered to another location and people weren't. I mean, at the end of the day, this is nothing more than ones and zeros.
Right.
And so can you hide like that basic code and remove that cookie crumb, so to speak, of where the money went to? I mean, sure, they know the address it went to, but from there, where did it go? And then after that, where did it go? And how many other rerouters are there? And I mean, and if you're going to be stealing $500 million in cryptocurrency, you would think that you're going to reroute the money so many times, disperse it so many times, so that following that trail of crypto crumbs is near impossible. I mean,
do you think, though, I mean, this company has stood up and said, yes, we're going to reimburse everybody who's lost their money, which I think is amazing and honorable. But I don't think that they should be the ones that that take the loss. I want there to be some way of tracking that money back down and getting it back. I don't love I love
Is that
the
some form of
idea.
insurance, though? Like, does the
That's
bank
what I'm
take the
wondering.
responsibility?
But there is no bank when it's cryptocurrency, right?
But that's what they
Yeah,
represent, is
I
basically a cryptocurrency bank, in
right.
a way, right?
So, it's so tough because I love the idea of anonymous money. I love I love cryptocurrency in theory. But then something like this happens, and I think to myself,
You can't track it. It's not like somebody walking into a bank and putting a mask on and you can catch them on their way out the door.
yeah, they have
It doesn't work that way.
right? Or the serial numbers of the bills have been tracked, or
Yes. Yeah.
something. It's not,
Not
like
so
that.
much.
It is funny that we say that because at the end of the day, it is just digital. It's
we
it's
know
not-
that.
It's
but
not
we live in a
physical.
world of digital.
I know, but
You go into a bank and the money that is there is
it's not
digital.
actually there.
physically there.
So
Yeah.
it's trying to wrap my head around this because I know you can't technically do it this way, but it's almost like why couldn't they just say, "Oh, we'll just type those numbers back in. Here you go."
Oh, yes.
And
Wouldn't that be nice?
We've given you your balance back. I mean, sure, somebody out there has stolen money that they didn't pay for, but it's digital. There's no real currency.
But money's just paper. If you're saying that,
but if you produce
right?
it. If you've produced paper money, then it's paper money. I mean, in Canada, we've got plastic money, but it's just like Robbie said. I mean, if you're in the bank, the money that's in there isn't actually there. If you recall Y2K, the year 2000, when everybody was all freaking out about the Y2K bug, I remember something about if 10% of the U.S. population withdrew their physical funds from the banks would be completely bankrupt because of interest that's been earned. It's not real money.
When you get a car loan, you're not actually borrowing physical money
Right.
in any way. It's this weird promissory stuff.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Okay, we've got to move on to the next story. Sasha.
Apple has confirmed that a software update will let iPhone owners switch off the battery saver feature that slows down some models. The option to switch off the feature will appear on the iPhone 6, 6 Plus, SE, 6S, 7 Plus, and
other models.
other models.
And that's Robbie operating the teleprompter. And I apologize.
Last month, Apple apologized after it was found to be deliberately slowing down some of its services.
I feel like Robbie's deliberately slowing down the news.
Sorry.
This reminded me of Luke's dump.
Customers were angry that Apple has not been upfront about its actions before the practice was discovered.
Oh my god.
Many take it anytime, had long suspected the company slowed down.
Older iPhones to encourage customers to upgrade. Apple admitted to slowing down some phones with aging batteries, but said it was only done to prolong the life of the devices. The ability to switch off the battery saver will appear in the iOS 11.3 when it is released later this year.
Do you believe them?
No, I think that they're trying to save their butts, to be honest with you.
Oh, absolutely.
Like,
Yeah.
completely.
How much would it change the phone? Because it is such an older model and the apps have advanced
Sure.
and everything.
Yeah.
But see, part of the other issue I have with this, related but not really, is at a certain point, app developers start saying, this app isn't compatible, your software is too out of date. Or you can't even install this because it's your software isn't at, to the level it needs to be. And so even if it's not from the slowdown standpoint, developers force you to go to the newer models, otherwise you can't get their apps.
Right. It's a money game, right? We're in a culture of forced consumption. You have to buy the next newest thing to get the speed. And truth be told, if it's only helping like iPhone 6 and more current, then you're just really pandering to the audience that's already used to buying the latest and greatest.
Sure.
I mean, how long ago did the iPhone 6 come out? Not that long
I
ago.
want to say it was 4 years ago.
That's not long.
No, it's not.
Like, most of my clothes are older than that, right? So it's I don't like it. It feels kind of dirty business to me.
Yes.
That all of a sudden they're saying, okay, well, we'll stop protecting your battery and your phone will work faster. And now all of a sudden what happens? Have you voided your warranty, or what's going to happen now? I just,
If they do the software, it shouldn't void the warranty.
I can't subscribe to that mentality, because I'm the kind of person, like, you've got an older laptop there and it's getting slow, so what are we going to do? We're going to install a new version of Linux on it.
Exactly.
Bring it back to life. I'm not having to replace hardware. I'm just going to change the software. If I want to put, like, my iPod Touch, I couldn't use it for the teleprompter. I thought, oh, here's finally a use for the iPod Touch.
right.
That I've used 3 times. We'll use it as the teleprompter screen. And it wouldn't work.
Because it was too slow?
Because the operating system didn't support the app.
Right.
So
Okay.
give me the new operating system.
Exactly. It's unfair business, and the truth of the matter is, at one point in my life, I was a huge fan of Apple. Everything looks so pretty with Apple.
A very dark time of your life.
Everything looks fresh and clean.
Yeah.
But then you realize they trick you so incredibly into being blind to the fact that you're going to buy this.
You're paying for form factor in a lot of cases.
Yeah, you're paying for it, and then all of a sudden it's going to be obsolete before you can blink an eye. You can start college with one iBook, and before you're done college, you've already had to buy another one. It's not fair, and it's dirty business.
Well, and I think
Shame.
I think this whole thing has impacted Apple, because I was reading yesterday, I think, that already Apple is cutting production of its new phone by 25%.
Wow.
Because the orders are not what they thought it would be. So it makes me wonder, are people saying, well, screw you, Apple, because of this?
I don't want to be treated like that.
I
as
hope,
a
Yeah.
consumer,
I hope
yeah.
so. I think that everybody should really band together and really only purchase things that they can use for a long amount of time, that they can get in and replace components at their will, so hardware is never going to be an issue. I really want us to stop being so driven by the latest and greatest thing.
And if we could all learn to be makers, all learn to solder, and all learn what a capacitor and a resistor is,
I
and
have the capacity to resist.
and stop buying devices that you can't open and repair these things,
Right.
then what a world it would be.
I will give you, okay, so somebody had mentioned in the chat room, just replace the battery.
Yes.
I had done that with my wife's phone in the past.
But you're still, it's a software feature.
Well, exactly. But her new phone, not an iPhone, thankfully, it is a Samsung. One of our kids dropped it, and
Yes.
there was something with the charge connection that it went loose and it wasn't charging properly. I went to open the phone to try and get to it. They make it so hard to get into the phones now. I mean, she's past her 1-year
Well, it's
warranty.
a
so-
lot of stuff to fit into a small package.
Oh,
I
it's
got to give them that.
Well, I agree, but the thing that bugs me is, why do you have to remove the freaking screen? Why can't you just go to the other side and access it from the back?
There are
I've got
better
a G3.
ways.
I just pull the back off and change the battery.
I think I'm just going to go back to rotary.
All right. New York has become the second state to enforce net neutrality with an executive order that prevents ISPs from obtaining state contracts unless they follow net neutrality principles. New York Governor Andrew Cuomo signed the executive order last week, just days after Montana Governor Steve Bullock did the very same. The states are challenging the Federal Communications Commission, which repealed its own net neutrality rules and preempted states from imposing similar ones. The executive orders attempt to run around the FCC's preemption of local laws. Instead of directly requiring all ISPs to follow net neutrality principles, the executive orders require state agencies to only do business with ISPs that offer neutral networks. Cuomo said the FCC's dangerous ruling goes against the core of our values of democracy, and New York will do everything in our power to protect net neutrality and the free exchange of ideas. The order says that state agencies and departments may not enter into contracts for internet service unless the ISPs agree to adhere to net neutrality principles. ISPs would disqualify themselves from obtaining state contracts if they block, throttle, or prioritize internet content or applications, or require that end users pay a different or higher rates to access specific types of content for applications. The New York order goes beyond Montana's by including the specific provision against charging users higher rates to access specific types of internet content and applications.
Awesome.
I love that.
Way to find a workaround.
I know. Well, and it's still being challenged.
Sure.
Apparently, the FCC is looking to legally block it, and it's going to become a big court issue. My guess is probably going to go right up to the highest levels of the courts. But I think it's great. I absolutely love this, just like you, Sasha, because there's so many impacts because of the removal of net neutrality that something like this will go a long way to helping the little man, for lack of a better expression. Because if you're just somebody at home who's, got a low-paying job, but you've got your internet, you're trying to get by, to have to start paying for all these other things because you're being throttled, it's an unnecessary money grab. I mean, it's just not right. I think this is a great story.
I think it's good that there's politicians that are standing up for net neutrality, but finding a workaround to the FCC's ruling and saying, okay, here's a way that we can still have net neutrality in its legitimate, in what it is, but getting around it completely.
Right. Now, the interesting thing about this is it's only related to government contracts. But
you have to have those. You can't be an ISP without them.
Right.
Well, if you're a little ISP that doesn't care about a government contract, then you're not going to bother making the change. But this is going to impact the big ISPs.
Sure.
Because they're the ones that are going to want the government contract. So I think it's great. It's too bad. Now, because it's just government, it does limit the footprint of the impact that this would have. But if there's a way to get around it to say that all ISPs, that would be even better. And I'm interested to see how many other states hop onto this.
It warms my heart completely that they're stepping up and maintaining.
Now, we still have net neutrality in Canada,
yes.
And I don't think that will ever go away.
Bell wants it to.
Of course they do.
Yeah.
They're a big company. They want to be able to throttle people as much as they can. But I think from the general populace in Canada, I don't think that's something we would stand behind, and it would probably hurt Bell's image on a whole. But what is the big difference for somebody who's going, I don't know, net neutrality? What do you mean throttling? Nobody's put their hands around my neck. What do you mean throttle? What are you talking about? What is throttling for somebody who doesn't know?
Well, if you go on Netflix and Netflix is paid, because if there is not net neutrality and Netflix has not paid the premium to give you that at high speeds, then all of a sudden you get that buffering.
And then all of a sudden you'll go to a different...
You get slower connections to certain services.
Exactly. Oh.
There you go.
Big thanks to Roy W. Nash and our community of viewers for submitting stories to us this week. Thanks for watching the Category 5.tv newsroom. Don't forget to like and subscribe for all your tech news with a slight Linux bias. And for more free content, be sure to check out our website. From the Category 5.tv newsroom, I'm Sasha Rickman.